I'm Doug Thompson of BDS. Welcome to Stories That Matter with my special guest today, Coach Ron Slaymaker, previously from Emporia State, and some of you would know him from that. He's also attended high school in Peabody. I think you were born in Newton originally.
That's right.
And played high school ball at Peabody, and he was a major league coach for as many years as I can remember. Well, he was Mr. Emporia State. Not only did he play there, and all kinds of awards for his playing, but then he went straight into coaching as a pretty young coach. And so when I went to Emporia State as a student, why, Ron Slaymaker was a perfect representative of Emporia State. I had classes under him and got some of my highest C's from him, and and so I did really well there and got my master's, and then went on to law school from there. And Coach Ron is still involved with, of course, with Emporia State, with the community of Emporia. And Ron, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, Ron, you're involved with the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. So tell me what capacity you are involved with the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, I think it was about 11 or 12 years ago, I got on the board as a trustee, which is an appointed position by the governor at the time. And I served I think it was 4 years, and was asked to stay on as just a board member. And I've been on ever since. I think this might be my 11th or 12th year. I love the involvement. I love the purpose. There's a lot of good things that are going on with the Sports Hall of Fame. It's tough work, tough meaning that there's always a struggle, as with a lot of things. Money becomes an issue, but we have survived, and there's no reason to believe we won't continue to survive. And of course, we always need help from the state of Kansas, from the public. Kansas is such a rich state of sports history. It's amazing with our population compared to others. The people that have made a tremendous impact in the world of sport, all sports, which is certainly one of our purposes, is diversity. And we have some world-class people in a lot of different areas, and it's just a proud area to be a part of.
Yeah, it is. And tell me, where's the Sports Hall of Fame located at right now?
Right now, it's in the boathouse in Wichita, right there on the river, overlooking the river, and across the river is the ballpark. It's a great setting. The building it's great for what we're doing. It's not big enough to display the thousands and thousands of artifacts that we have. When it was in Newton, we had space, and we had so many things were out where people could see them. We have moved around. We moved from Newton to another area in Wichita, and again, things just change from year to year. And Bill Koch has been a major benefactor. He's a member of the Sports Hall of Fame with America's Cup, and he has done quite well in life. And I'm not sure whether we own that building or whether the city of Wichita owns it and we lease it for $1. Whatever. It's $1 changes hands there somewhere, and consequently the offices are there. It has been a godsend in many ways because we have been able to sustain ourselves financially by renting the boathouse for, you name it, church services, receptions, weddings, whatever you want to think of that needs space. We've been able to rent it. Jordan Poland, who has been our executive director, has done a really good job with that. But with the pandemic and a lot of organizations, it's been a hard hit. And so we've had to make some changes. Jordan is taking another job, but going to keep at least on a part-time basis, the directorship, because he's done a good job. We feel really good about his input, his ability to raise money, his ability to do the things that we think should be done, which are to educate, to inspire, service, and to honor all the great sports people in Kansas. And so we've been able to keep in, work it out. You know, there's always a way to sit down across the table and work things out. And we're going to continue to make it. Some way we're going to continue to make it. We certainly hope that the state of Kansas would jump in there sometime. They're the ones that started this way back when you were very involved. They said it's a great idea, and it was, and got it rolling, and then say, okay, it's yours now. And it's been tough, but you know, everybody's got it tough. Obviously, the state doesn't have a whole lot of money rolling around either, but that's why we've had to really be ingenious in a way to find ways to get the money to keep the operation going and to do it in a first-class way.
Yeah, it's a beautiful facility, and you are certainly right, Coach, that Kansas has a rich tradition with the number and quality of athletes, and it's absolutely tremendous. I was looking over the charter class and the year by year of those inducted, and man, oh man, it's absolutely tremendous. The talent that Kansas has produced. I was just looking at the charter class, and I mean, if you look at, there's Fog Allen and Ahern, Michael Ahern, Glenn Cunningham, Walter Johnson, Jess Willard, the boxer. I mean, there's tremendous talent there. I didn't even read off the rest of the people, but you can go year by year, and it's absolutely amazing. Will there be inductions for the year that we're in, 2020?
Well, we're still in the process there. The Kansas Star has really jumped in and been so much help to us. We've been down there the last year, and they've provided a great facility and have helped financially with what we're trying to do. And, you know, we're still in hopes that will happen. And of course, we're in October. Like everything that's going on right now. It's July, but what about August, September, October, November? I'm sitting here wondering, will I be able to play basketball this year with my team? We're in hopes by October that this will be settled down enough and we can have the regular banquet, not the virtual things that are going on.
And how is the selection process? How is it determined who will be the inductees? What is that process? What's it look like?
Well, that's a good question. Number one, all you got to do is probably make a phone call and get the name on the list, so to speak. Need a resume. Jordan does a really good job of putting all that information together into a short paragraph, so that it's pretty much the same for everybody in terms of length. You know, people, as we get, you could go on and on and on. Everybody could be a half a page plus in terms of all the things they have done, but you got to keep it short enough because everybody that is in the Hall of Fame is a potential voter. So there you got over 200 people. And you got the media, and you got the athletic personnel from each school. And it goes on and on. A lot of people are capable of voting to get people in. But here's what's happened in the 12 years I've been involved. It might have been 20 people would be on the list. So you sit down, and I know I always felt like number 1 and number 20 wasn't much difference. They were all good. It was just really difficult to sort out who should get in, because only 10, and that's kind of a magical number. We try to stay within that because you just can't have everyone. But now this year it was 50. And that's good news and bad news. Good news is we got a lot of people out there deserving. And I, for one, I sit down and read every one of them. And I read them carefully. Everyone doesn't do that. You kind of skim over it, or you pick the ones by, oh, I know who that is. And so all the other 40 don't get much of your attention. We labor with that. Can we cut those numbers? Well, yeah, sure, you can cut the numbers, maybe the first 20 in or first 25 in, or certain criteria that you may establish. We could cut the numbers, but is that good? I, for one, think no. I think it is what it is. If you get 50, just deal with it and hope that people do conscientiously look at each one, give each one its what it should be, and it'll all sort itself out in the end. But it creates a problem, no question about that. And because that many numbers, everybody isn't going to read all those, even on a short resume. And consequently, people do fall through the cracks. We have established a couple of years ago a veterans committee, because every year somebody may almost get in, almost but not quite. And the next year, almost but not quite. And the next year, almost but not quite. And you go on and on for a number of years. And so we've established a committee that studies that. And I happen to be on that committee, and I think it's good, because we've been able to then look at it and see the worth of that person. And every year they're almost there. And we've had a few people get in that way. You get in, you get in. And we think that's okay. We still stay within our 10. And of course, there's always one or two that can't come for whatever reason, because we got a lot of NBA and NFL and people in coaching that on a weekend they can't get away. All kinds of reasons why people can't come. So we try to stay within that 10 if we can. It seems to be a good number, and just go with it. And then some don't care. That seems like, are you kidding me? You wouldn't care about getting in the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame? Well, there are a few of those. And they're the high rollers that I could care less about, very frankly. We do have criteria set up that make sure it's Kansas, because we have a lot of people that weren't born in Kansas, may have come to school in Kansas, spent 4 years here, or for whatever reason, maybe they live in Kansas now, permanent residents here. We have all that pretty well ironed out and studied, and I think we're very fair with the whole process. We've talked about tweaking it, talked about changing it. I think it's going to stay the same, at least for right now.
Where do you hold the induction ceremonies?
Well, it's right now it's going to be held at the Kansas Star down south of Wichita at the casino there. Great facility, plenty of space. They've really done a good job in terms of catering to us. We're very pleased with it. Prior to that, we had some of the hotels right there in Wichita that did it. And part of it's cost. The Kansas Star, again, has helped us a lot in terms of being able to financially, put on a class show, good food, take care of a lot of numbers. And obviously, they like people coming in the door. Everybody's going to drop a few bucks, and nothing wrong with that. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. But Kansas Star has been real good to us, and we're going to try to continue to be good to them.
Well, Coach, is there a number of times that the same person can be on the ballot?
No, if you aren't in, well, let's just say somebody's on the ballot this year, and they got a few votes, but not near enough to even get in the top half. They have to go off for 1 year and be resubmitted. Now, if you're in the upper group, I'm going to guess around the 40% group. If you're in that group, you're automatically going to be put on for the next year. But if you are down in the bottom half, then you go off for 1 year, and you'll come back on after you've been resubmitted by whoever probably submitted your name in the first place. And usually people do get resubmitted, and that's okay. I've watched it and seen people who didn't get much of a play the first time, second time around, they did quite well. So, again, we think it's a fair way to do it.
What's the biggest challenge that the Sports Hall of Fame is having? Is it finances like most institutions, or is it some sort of structural?
Well, the building it's a great building. It's an old building, but been well kept, but it's in disrepair, as all old buildings are. We've gone to Bill Koch many times for help. Not sure how often you can go to the well. He's been wonderful to us in many, many ways. And so we're hesitant to continue to just go, hey, Bill, we need 100,000. The roof's leaking, and we've tried to take care of our own business. So the building itself, we're able to display all the Hall of Honor plaques and a little bit of memorabilia, but there are thousands of pieces of memorabilia that are in boxes in storage. Which is too bad, because when it was in Newton and even the other place in Old Town Wichita, those were out where people could see them. And again, wow, it's one of those wow moments that any really good museum would hold, that you can almost touch it. And that sports history, a uniform, a baseball, a bat, or whatever it might be. You and I talked previously about the gentleman from Halstead. That was a original NASCAR driver. Had one of his cars. We have one of his cars. And that's another thing that I think the Sports Hall of Fame has done, is have good diversity. It's not just football, basketball, baseball, what some people would say the major sports. We really branched out into a lot of things. I think this year there is a trap shooter, but there's no question about the honors. This person's world class. I mean, not Kansas class, they're world class and deserve to be in the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. But I've submitted the name of a track starter. I'm a track starter, and so I cater a little bit to somebody that starts track. Well, we've got somebody that has done everything you can possibly do as a track starter, from the Olympics to the national championships, and a Kansas guy from Clay Center up your neck of the woods. We got a little bit of everything. We've got a lot of women involved. I think the diversity that we have in the Sports Hall of Fame is really good, and it's good for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's a great place to visit. I know this is a particularly tough year, but on a normal year, if you take last year, how many visitors would you anticipate for the museum in, say, 2019?
Oh, golly. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. If you could get 20 a day, that'd be a good day. I'm not even sure if we're charging now. We did not want money to be an issue to have people come in and see what we're doing. Uh, that's not where we're trying to make it financially. It's got to come in a lot of other ways from just flat donations and scholarship things that we're trying to do with the money and educate kids, do a lot of things for kids. Um, but it'd be nice if the traffic, again, if it was all that memorabilia was there, that would be helpful. Um, the is it the Baseball Hall of Fame? They're redoing across the river the NBC baseball. They're redoing that ballpark in a new building, and we've at one time thought maybe we'd be able to attach ourselves to that. Still not out of the question, but hopefully it's still in the works, at least on a discussion basis. So, museums are not something that is in vogue right now. I think maybe it comes and goes. Hopefully it will be coming, that we'll get more people that are interested. The better we make it, the more obvious people will come. And that's why I think the building does become an issue. And we're in the process of having a outside company help us with the rental of the facility, because that's where our money's coming from. And to pay a full-time person what they really do. Jordan Poland is excellent. He has a history background. He's young. He's energetic. He's going to be teaching this year and doing the Sports Hall of Fame. Sounds like a big job to me, but again, we're doing it just for financial reasons, and hopefully we can work ourselves out of this pandemic and things will get better, because people aren't renting places. They're not having weddings. They're not having receptions, and consequently, there's our income.
I have spoken to Jordan, of course, several times on the phone. Very exceptional, very sharp person, and he's a good fit for the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. Well, Coach, as you look back on, I'm assuming there's induction ceremonies, and those who are being inducted will have the opportunity or have had the opportunity to give a speech, say a few words. Would that be correct?
Yes, yeah, very much so. And oh, wow, it's so inspirational. Everybody has a story. I love to listen to people's story, how they got where they got. And this year we've got Jordy Nelson, we've got Darren Sproles, we've got Terrence Newman. There's three big ones from K-State. We always tease Jordan a little bit about that because he's a K-Stater. Where are the KU guys? There's plenty of KU guys. But again, we talk about diversity. It's not just KU and K-State and Wichita. There are plenty of small school people, junior college, high school coaches, plenty of people. You don't have to go to be an All-American at KU to get in the Sports Hall of Fame. We've got plenty of the others, and I think that's good.
Yeah, I do too.
I think at one time it might have gotten a little top heavy with KU, K-State, Wichita, but it's always being looked at, trying to correct it. Went through a time where it didn't seem like we're getting many women in. We try to make the corrections that are necessary there. And again, I think it's a good board. Plenty of people on there with interest. That's the main thing. To be on the board of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, you better have some interest. And I think we do.
Well, Coach, is there one particular story from the inductions that just sticks out to you from maybe somebody who, by the time they finished, everybody in that room was wiping their eyes? Is there a story that just really touched your heart? I'm sure all of them did, but is there one particular one?
Like all, when people get up and give speeches, the ones you remember is when someone should have talked 5 minutes and they talked 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we try to keep the speeches normal, but hey, when you're having this kind of honor to get up and to speak, it flows and it's hard to shut up. And I know I love to listen to that. Some people don't, but I'd be hard pressed to pick out any one particular one. I just love them all. I know at Emporia State, we have a similar thing. All schools have a Hall of Honor, a Hall of Fame, whatever it might be. And we put a big time limit on them. And we've even gone, I'm the MC of the affair, and we've gone to kind of an interview. That way I can control the time. We have a big easy chair. I sit in one of them, and the inductee sits in the other, and I ask a few questions. And when I think we've been there long enough, we stop. But it's worked for us on that. But sometimes I feel for the people because it's their story, it's their life, and there are people there that are really interested. And I just told I have a basketball camp this week, my girls over at Chase County, and I said it's such a shame that I love the Olympic years because the Olympic champions always get interviewed a lot. And to hear their stories, that's what we're talking about, is their lives and how they got where they got, and the kinds of training and the kinds of coaching and things they did in their life to get to that point, it's such inspiration. And that's what I get out of those speeches every year is I walk away, man, I can fight tigers. You just get inspired and you can't wait to get on the field. So I don't know. I personally enjoy that. I think most people do, but sometimes people do talk too long.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always appreciated those when somebody gets up and they start talking, they said, well, my dad worked all the time, so it was my mom that took me to all the ball games, and so the T-balls and everything in between to be able to get to play. And then when Dad would come home, why then he would play. I always think of the story with Mickey Mantle, where his dad worked in the mines. And when his dad got home, on top of everything else, plus working to provide for the family, they'd go out and play catch for a long time. And he had Mickey's ear, so he would be able to help him in all those areas. I appreciate those sacrifices. And Coach, I know you're one of those individuals that have made a lot of sacrifices for a lot of kids and a lot of your students. And thank you, Coach, for doing that for all these years. You're still doing it. You told me before we started, you said, well, Doug, I'm 84. You don't look 84. You don't act 84, and you're going to go coach a girls team, and you're looking forward to it. Coach, thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. Another one quick story, and we'll stop. I went to Germany or Belgium or all those European countries 23 years in a row doing camps, and I had a few years off. My wife was not in good health and haven't gone the last 2 years. She's been gone, but I was going this year. And I told, again, my girls today at camp, I was so fired up about going. You go somewhere 23 years in a row, it's kind of old hat. You run out of steam. But every year I was just fired up to go. And I finally figured out on the planes the last time I went what it was. It was like a light bulb went off. And I was being selfish. And I started my speech in Germany. You're looking at the most selfish guy in the world. because I'm getting more out of this than I'm giving. And I think there's a lot of professions, and coaching's one of them. Yeah, we get paid for what we do, but I get a lot in return. You give and you give, but you get and you get. And I don't know if any of my girls were listening, but I sure laid it on where they wanted it or not. And just a couple of days ago, the Europeans won't let Americans in the country, so I'm not going. I told my friend over in Germany, I really can't blame him, but yeah, maybe we'll do it again some other year.
Yeah, I bet you will. I bet you will, Coach. Well, thanks so much for taking time to visit with me.
Thank you, Doug. I really appreciate it.
All right, you take care, Ron. Ron Slaymaker, Emporia State, and just a really good guy and a coach for a long, long time, member of the Hall of Fame board. And thank you so much. Take care. See you down the road, Ron.